Spiral model. The spiral model is a combination of well-known waterfall model and iterative prototyping. So it is a combination of waterfall model and iterative prototyping. It yields rapid development of more complete version of the software. So rapidly it will give the more complete version of the software. Using spiral model, software is developed as a series of evolutionary releases. During the initial release, it may be just paperwork or a prototype, but during the later versions, it goes to a more completed stage. The spiral model can be adopted to apply throughout the entire life cycle of applications from concept development to maintenance. The spiral model is divided into a set of framework activities defined by the software engineering team. So it is by a set of framework activities which are designed by the software engineering team. Each framework activity represents one segment of spiral. The initial activity is shown from the center of the circle and developed in a clockwise direction. Each spiral of model includes the following steps. Communication. The software development process starts with communication between the customer and the developer. Planning. It includes complete estimation, example, cost estimation of the project, and scheduling, complete timeline chart and risk analysis. So how much cost will be required? How much cost will the project face? So how much cost means if you want to build a website, what will be the cost of that website? Scheduling means complete timeline chart of the project, how much time duration will the project take, and risk analysis. This is a new thing which is there in the spiral model. It was not present in the waterfall model. Risk analysis means if suppose tomorrow there is a risk to the software, and what will happen if there is a risk, then it will result in some unwanted outcome. So to avoid any of the unwanted outcomes, analysis of risk is an important factor. Modeling. It includes detailed requirement analysis and project design. Algorithms and flowcharts. Again, this is made on the paper. Algorithms and flowcharts are made on a paper or on a software to give a prototyping model of what is actually going to be formed. Flowchart shows the complete pictorial view of the program, and algorithm is a step-by-step solution of the problem. Construction, we have coding. Design details are implemented using the programming languages, and testing is carried out. Deployment, it includes software delivery, support, feedback from the customer. If the customer suggests some corrections or demands additional capabilities, then changes are required for such corrections or enhancement. Note that after customer evaluation, the next spiral implements. So the spiral is a circular structure which goes on and on and on until you get a completed version of the software. So when you make one iteration is over, customer evaluation is taken, customer will give its feedback, next spiral will be implemented. Customer's suggestions plus the enhancement plan. Thus each iteration around the spiral gives a more completed version of the software. So this is the diagram. First is planning, then you have modeling, then you have construction, deployment and communication, and this goes on in a spiral form. Next is merits or advantages of spiral model. In this approach, project monitoring is easy and efficient as compared to the other models. It reduces the number of risks because we saw that in the planning phase, we are doing something called as the risk analysis. So risk analysis is a very powerful tool of the model of spiral model. So it reduces the number of risk in the software development before they become serious problems. It is suitable for high risk projects. Projects estimate, that is the cost and schedule is more realistic. Again we saw this project estimation, that is the cost and schedule is more realistic. Risk management is a built-in software in the spiral model. So I told you planning, maybe we saw risk analysis. Very important. Risk management is an inbuilt feature of the software of the spiral model. Changes can be accommodated at a later stage of development. What are the disadvantages? If major risk are not discovered in the earlier iterations of the spiral, it may become a major risk in the later stage. Each iteration around the spiral leads to a more completed version of the software, but it's difficult to convince the customer that the model is controllable. So if this completed version goes and goes and goes and goes on, then the customer will think that this is a infinity lifetime it will happen. You want a stable model, so it is very difficult to convince the customer that the model is stable now, it is controllable. The customer will think that the spiral will go on and on and on and on. Cost of this approach is usually high, so cost is also high. It is not suitable for low risk projects because your cost is high. Then for a project which is low risk, use the other models rather than spending so much on the spiral modeler. And the fifth is, rules and protocols must be followed very strictly to implement the approach.